Hello and welcome in this History Police video. And in this History Police video, we are reviewing a very short clip in the Serpent Queen that I think is actually brilliant. It ties really well to my book, Blood, Fire and Gold, where I discussed the relationship between Elizabeth I and Catherine de Medici. So let's dive into the scene and then let's discuss the real history and why I think it's actually brilliant. And you know I don't say that easily when it comes to the Serpent Queen.
Let me explain something to you. Men have been marrying women off for thousands of years. My own father, for example, was a pig-headed fool, but his will was irresistible.
Okay. First, I have to say, I love it that she kind of insults her father. Do I think that she would have said that? Obviously, Catherine de Medici and Elizabeth I never met. Big problem here, but do I think she would have? I don't think so. I don't think that Elizabeth would have ever said out loud these words. I'm not even sure that she saw her father this way. I'm pretty sure that she realized, especially with the people who were around her, talking about what happened to her mother, what happened to other people in her life, that her father had some problem and could be very toxic. But you have to remember that Elizabeth spent all her childhood and teenage years trying to bond with her father. It's quite actually very sad when you look at the letters when she's young and how much she wants to be loved by her father. Later on in her speeches, she does refer to him quite often. She refers to Anne as well, Anne Boleyn, her mother. And she refers to him. Actually, she refers to him quite less in diplomatic audiences, and she refers to her mother, and she talks about her mother way more in diplomatic audiences, which I think is very telling about her allegiance or loyalty. I think, in a way, Elizabeth needed to be a Tudor to be on the throne, to be legitimized, to have her authority, to be respected, to be recognized as Queen of England. But deep down, I think she was way more of a Boleyn, and you see how she's going to favor the Boleyn and her cousins, and how it is important for her to remember her mother and her lineage from the Boleyn. I was going to dynasty but family. So here, do I think that she would have said, she never met Catherine de Medici, but do I think she would have said that? No. But it's interesting because she's explaining something about the patriarchal society that these two women were living in that is so true.
He defied a Catholic God and the whole country went with him.
The whole country didn't go with him. I mean, there was the pilgrimage of grace, there were people dying and being executed and burned and hanged because they were fighting Henry VIII on this. So that is quite of a stupid line. And that's what I don't understand with scripts, is that you could make so much powerful lines, powerful scripts, if you actually were sticking to history.
Your late father-in-law, Francis I, was almost his equal.
Almost his equal? In which world is not his equal? And why would she have thought that Francis I was not, or almost equal of Henry VIII? Again, that is a stupid line, because they were completely equal, and everyone knew that. And there's no way for Elizabeth here to antagonize Catherine de Medici by saying that almost is equal. There's no doubt about the legitimacy of Francis. Actually, Francis I and Henry VIII share this. I mean, it's Henry's father that is starting a new dynasty, but they both know that. The right line. They're branches, right? And so their legitimacy can always be discussed or disputed, but in many ways that is such, again, a stupid line, because there's no way that Elizabeth would have said something so outrageous that she didn't even believe in it. Because if now we're discussing that some kings and some queens are not the exact equal of others, then she's just giving more ammunition for others thinking that she's not the rightful Queen of England, that she's not the equal to blah blah blah, because her mother and her father, their union is not recognized everywhere in Europe. So again, that would have made no sense. Elizabeth was so politically astute, so intelligent, that would make no sense for her to say something so outrageous, but also that could create problems for her down the line.
But they did what they did as men, unapologetic in their appetites. You and I don't have such luxury, so yes, I must pose as a virgin and you as a witch to get what we want.
Okay, now we go back into a very good line. It is true, she recognizes how difficult it is for women to be in power in the 16th century. How men can do whatever they want without apologizing, and that for these two women, they had to play the game. For her, she plays the game of the virgin. I don't think that she would have said that Catherine de Medici is a witch. Like, you have to realize that her bad reputation is something that also was amplified after her death. It did exist during her time, mostly by, her enemies and detractors, as it usually happens. But yeah, like, Elizabeth played the virgin, and Catherine was the mother of kings, the queen mother. And this is how they were advancing their power, their influence, their authority. And where she's right is that men didn't have to work on all of this. They needed to work on all of this because of the patriarchal society they were living in. The fact that men did not respect them. And that to be in power, to have so much power, to have so much influence, as a woman, you needed to be different. You needed to be extraordinary. That it is so wrong when people come to me and say that Elizabeth is a feminist. First of all, feminism didn't exist at the time, so it's anachronistic. But more importantly, Elizabeth was not here to champion women. She championed herself, and as such became an example and an icon of feminism later on, because then, when you reflect on what she did, you're inspired by that. But it's very important to remember that herself didn't fight for women's rights. She always said it. I'm no ordinary woman. I'm an extraordinary one. And that is why I'm the head and the men are the foot. And therefore it's very important. So she plays the virgin, she plays all the cards in all her life. But that line is actually very good. Though, again, I'm not sure she would have said that Catherine is a witch.
When I became queen, I decided no man was ever going to marry me off. I was simply going to drive up the price, playing one suitor off against another. So yes, you're quite right. Of course, I came here looking for the best deal for England, and not a husband.
I love this, because I think it's true. When you look at the sources, very early on, so I'm talking here about as soon as Elizabeth is in power, so 1559, and she has the ambassadors. You have two ambassadors that reports that this woman is not going to marry. De Feria, the Spanish ambassador, goes to Philip and says, it literally says this woman is kind of like, not insane, but this woman will not marry. And she thinks that, she feels herself that she's a bit better. And you have de Noailles, the French ambassador, who says the exact same thing to Henry II and Catherine de Medici, where he said she will not marry. The problem that happened is that at that time, it was unheard of. For Catherine de Medici, she didn't understand the concept for women to say, I will not marry. And so Elizabeth, though, she had said from the beginning, she played her card. She was actually very blunt about it. She will not take her husband. And the more you go on, then she loves casting some doubts, because the people were just incredibly shocked by this. So it was very easy for her to say, okay, then I'm going to play games and I'm going to pretend that I'm interested. But she was really never interested. And here, I love that the best deal for England was for her to be ruling on her own. It's what she truly, truly believed. She said it many times. She said it in speeches. She said it in diplomatic audiences. She said it repeatedly, that for her, what mattered the most was the best deal for England. But she said, it's not because I have a child of my own that person will be a good person to rule. She was so ahead of her time, but also so conscious what it meant for women to share her power, to have a husband, and the risk of childbirth. I really think that the risk of dying in childbirth is one of the biggest reasons for Elizabeth to never want to marry and have children. Now, we can also obviously speculate about, could she have children? Like, did the doctors find something that was not right? And there are, more and more interesting research about it, looking at their reports and what they were saying, but they're very hard to get access to get your hands onto. And it's probably here one of the biggest mysteries here. And for me, I believe that maybe there was something that was not right, would not work, or that there was a risk, or that I could find that there was a risk that was not worth Elizabeth to put herself through all of this. Pregnancy is also not a walk in the park, and when you're ruling, it's not that easy. So she knew that if she married, the man, the husband, would have to take over. She would have to become the queen, like the wife of a king, more than anything else. I really hope that you enjoyed this quick video on this clip and this discussion about Elizabeth and what she meant when she said, I'm here for the, to get the best deal for England. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!